Okay, so we've got an integral here. We want to take the integral of 1 over 1 plus cube root of x with respect to x. And we've got these parameters here from 0 to e to the power of 6. So that's quite a big upper bound. Now, the way forward to integrate this is with u substitution. So my chosen way here, I'm going to use my u substitution for the whole of my denominator. So let's write u equals 1 plus cube root of x. Now, when I'm dealing with derivatives and integrals, I like to put mine in indice format. So u equals 1 plus x to the third. That's more easier to deal with. So now, usual business when we're taking the derivative, so our du equals, derivative of that is 0, x to the third, well, the third will come out using the chain rule, and then drop the power by 1. 1/3 minus 1 is minus 2/3. So x to the minus 2/3 means we have x to the 2/3 in our denominator. So 3x to the 2/3. Now we could write this as du equals 1 over 3 times 3 in the bottom means cube root, and then our input for x would be squared, and then that's our dx. Okay, so now bring our dx on its own. Dx equals, so basically the reciprocal of this, so 3 times the cube root of x squared, and then that's du. Okay, now we can't just put that in for our dx. We have to get this x squared in terms of u. What we've got here, u equals 1 plus cube root of x. So using that, let's get this x on its own and then get this x squared going from that. Okay, so u minus 1 equals cube root of x. And then if we cube both sides, we'll get x on its own. So now we've got u minus 1 cubed equals x. But we want x squared. So if here we've got x squared to the cube root, if we raise both sides, because we've got this one here, x to the 2/3, if we raise both sides to the 2/3, then we'll get a solution for this. So then we've got u minus 1 cubed, and then to the 2/3, that will equal x to the 2/3, which is what we want here. So taking care of this, we've then got u minus 1 squared, so 3 2s are 6, divided by 3 is 2. That's legitimate for our power rule, powers here, and then that equals x to the 2/3. Okay, so now we're ready to go into our u substitution and convert this all into u. Okay, so now our integral is from 0 to e to the 6. Now my parameters of integration I'm going to leave as they are for the moment, because when I've finished I'm going to go back to the x world and then I can calculate my parameters from there. So I'm going to take them out for the moment, so I'm not breaking any notation rules, and I'm going to put them in back at the end when I've got my integral. Okay, so now I've got 1 over 1 plus cube root of x is u, and now what I need to do now is put in my dx, which is 3 times the cube root of x squared, which is this one here. So if I've got 3 times it, I'm going to bring my 3 out front, because that's just a constant multiple, and then I plug in this for the rest of my du. So then I've got u minus 1 squared. So 1 times u minus 1 squared du. Okay, now u minus 1 squared, easiest way to deal with this is just to multiply it out. So let's do that on the next line. 3 times the integral u minus 1 squared will give us u squared minus 2u plus 1. And then that's all over u du. Okay, now to deal with this, I'm going to split the fraction into 3 different parts. So now I've got 3 times u squared over u minus 2u over u plus 1 over u, and that's all my integrand du. Okay, let's simplify this off. Let's cancel out some of those u's. So u squared over u will just give me u, minus 2u over u will just give me minus 2, and then plus 1 over u. Okay, so now we can integrate this straight away. So integral of u is u squared over 2. So I'm going to need my brackets here still multiplying by 3. So u squared over 2. This one with regards to u is now minus 2u. And this one here is just the natural log of u. So plus the natural log of u. And don't forget the absolute value to help us with increase our domain. And then that will be calculated over our parameters of integration when I've flicked it back to the x world. So I'm going to take this off the board, bring it up here, and then go back to our x. Okay, so now let's get this back into our x in terms of x, and then we put our parameters of integration out and calculate the value of our integral. So now I've got 3 times u squared over 2. Well, u is this term. So now I've got 1 plus cube root of x all squared over 2. Now I've got minus 2 times this. So I've got minus 2 times 1 plus cubed root of x. So that's all of that one. And then plus the natural log of this. Okay, 1 plus cubed root of x. Okay, so now I'm back into x. I'm going to put my parameters of integration in. And then we'll try and calculate the value of our integral. Okay, so first of all, let's calculate at e to the power of 6. So now it's all still multiplied by 3. So let's give ourselves plenty of space here. So if e to the 6, wherever c and x, I'll plug in e to the 6. So I've got 1 plus cube root of e to the 6. And then that's all squared. And that's over 2. So that takes care of that. Now this one, again, e to the 6. So minus 2 times 1 plus the cube root of e to the 6. And then plus this one here with e to the 6 in here. So plus the natural log of 1 plus the cube root of e to the 6. Okay, now we have to plug in when all the values are 0. So now we're going to subtract. So all of this will be for e to the 6. And then inside the big square brackets, I'm now going to take away the values when x is 0. So when x is 0, that'll be 0, that'll be 0, that'll be 0. So this should be a bit more straightforward just to write straight in. So now I've got 1 plus 0 squared over 2. Well, 1 squared is just 1. Divided by 2, that's just a half. This one here, again, that's 0. So that becomes 1. So minus 2 times 1 is just minus 2. And then this one here, this one's even easier. Log of 1 plus 0 is just a log of 1, which is 0. So then that ends our values at 0. So now let's just tidy up this side a little bit with our e to the 6. Good to take our time a little bit on this one. So now we've got 3 times cube root of e to the 6 is just e squared. So now I've got 1 plus e squared all squared over 2. This one then will be e squared as well. So that's minus 2 times 1 plus e squared plus the natural log of 1 plus, again, this one would be e squared. And then here I've got minus a half. And then here I've got minus 2, but I've also got another minus here. So now I've got plus 2. Okay. So that takes care of all of that. Okay, now let's try and distribute the 3's and see what we can do with this squared term as well. So now let's multiply everything by 3. So we've got 3 over 2, that would be this one. And then 1 plus e squared, that's going to give me 1 plus 2e squared plus e to the 4. So that takes care of that. This one's going to give me minus 2 times 3, so it's going to give me minus 6. And then e squared times 2 times 3 will give me 6e squared. So that's going to be minus that, so it's going to be minus 6e squared. Okay, now here we've got plus ln of 1 plus e squared, and that's going to be multiplied by 3. So that's plus 3 natural log 1 plus e squared. Okay, now distribute the 3 with this one, that's minus 3 over 2. And then here, 3 times 2, that's 6. So that's plus 6. Okay, let's see if we can go a little bit more and just break this one up as well. So now 3 over 2 times 1 gives me 3 over 2. Plus this one, that's 3 times 2 is 6 divided by 2, that's 3. So now I've got plus 3e squared. And then 3 over 2 e to the 4. That's going to give me plus 3e to the 4 over 2. Now minus 6 minus 6e squared plus 3 ln 1 plus e squared minus 3 over 2 plus 6. Okay, right, let's make some space at the top and see if we can write a simplification of this one. Okay, right, let's see if we can simplify this up and see if we can get an approximate value. Okay, so constants 3 over 2 minus 3 over 2, so they're going to cancel. So that takes care of them. I've got a minus 6 and a plus 6, takes care of them. So that's looking good already. Okay, I've got a plus 3e squared, so I've got 3e squared and a minus 6e squared, so that becomes minus 3e squared. And then here I've got 3e to the 4 over 2, and that's the only e to the 4 term, so that's plus 3e to the 4 over 2. So that takes care of that one. So that's that one and that one, and that one, and now just a logarithm term. So now I've got plus 3 natural log absolute value 1 plus e squared. Okay, plug that into our calculator, we'll get an approximate value of 66.11. That's our approximate value. Okay, that I'm going to declare as my answer to my integral. So this integral here gives us approximately 66.11. Okay.